Khanyi, much focus has been on whether or not Brown Mokgotsi is a member of the ANC. Why does that even matter?
It's a red herring. I can call it now. It's a distraction because it doesn't matter. You know, it has been one of the most useless back and forths that I've witnessed in a long time, because the current status of Brown Mokgotsi's membership in the ANC doesn't take away from any of the serious allegations against him. I mean, the Madlanga Commission has just issued a Rule 3 notice against him, which requires him within 5 days to file an affidavit, and the charges against him range from interference at the highest level into police investigation, close proximity with senior politicians in the ANC. We've even seen Brown Mokgotsi wearing ANC regalia at ANC events. So, you know, the question is, why this distraction? Why was it even worth an interview by the SABC itself? Because there was no editorial value to this interview, because the seriousness of this, of why we even care about Brown Mokgotsi, it's because of what Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi revealed in July, and it is within that context that I think the conversation should remain.
Yeah, so in fact, now that you've gone there, the value of these people who are implicated in processes such as the Madlanga Commission, as well as the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, where they will have an opportunity to respond to you know, the allegations leveled against them. I suppose from a media perspective, you offer an interview and we think we can do it, we will take it. But does it add any value? And in terms of the strategy that those people are pursuing, is it wise, just because the opportunity is there, to offer yourself for interviews, media briefings, such as we saw the Chief of Staff do in the police ministry in the last few days?
You know, Thulasizwe, I know for a fact that there are news diaries that take place every morning or before any shift, where journalists will present the stories that they do have. And even if you do have the type of proximity that brings you an opportunity to have an interview with A. Brown Mokgotsi, it is the editor on shift at that hour that must determine what the news value of that interview is. It cannot be just because I have Brown Mokgotsi's number and I can call him, so let's do the interview. What did he reveal in that interview that in all intents and purposes is going to change the trajectory of the way that, you know, the cookies in the cookie jar have been taken? You know, all the allegations against him, it comes back to that. Why then not give him that interview and put him to a Madlanga Commission on air live on SABC and put those allegations to him? So I think that the only value that that interview could have had is if there were new revelations that would have come out, that would have changed the course of investigations, that would have changed even the trajectory of the Madlanga Commission because of new damning information. But the media has a responsibility, and I don't know if it's generalization, I don't know if it's grandstanding, or if it's the allure of getting a scoop. But personally, as a journalist myself, I don't think that there was any news value in that interview, and media needs to be more responsible about how it conducts its so-called scoops.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's in it for the ANC. The ANC has got skin in the game in all of this, reputationally at least, in that it's a brand that has taken a bashing in as far as allegations of corruption are concerned in the last few years, including recently through the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, the acknowledgement by the ANC president a couple of years ago that when it comes to corruption, they are accused number one. Would you say you don't understand then why they would want to put an ocean between themselves and Brown Mokgotsi in the way that they're doing? If there's any pathway that leads to them putting an ocean between themselves and Brown Mokgotsi, they will take it.
The ANC is on the back foot on this one. Whether they deny knowing him, whether they admit knowing him, it's still not going to change the charges that are before the Matlanga Commission and possibly towards the work of the ad hoc committee that's currently underway in Parliament. From a political brand perspective, it is a sad day for us when we see an ANC that comes from a very high pedigree, that comes from the pedigree of Dr. Langalbalele Dube, all the founders, the founding fathers of the ANC, who would have never had anything to do with what has now been clearly shown to be a scoundrel in the form of Brown Mokgotsi. But here we are in 2025 with the ANC reducing itself to a dialogue, to a back and forth response with a person of such, questionable character. And so the question is that the hallmark of the ANC now? Is that who the ANC calls, its member? Even though they are denying it, they can at least claim that up until 2020, he was one of them. Whether he still is, it's neither here nor there. But the reputational brand has not just been to the name ANC, but the people it calls leaders. Senzo Mchunu has been implicated as being a very close ally to Brown Mokgotsi. Ket Matlala has admitted to paying Brown Mokgotsi over 100,000 rand to sit at a table with, senior ANC officials, which of course has been denied. But denial doesn't mean it didn't happen. Evidence is going to prove whether it did or didn't happen. Yeah. So politically, I think the ANC must take stock of the high pedigree that they've fallen from, and they must ask themselves, if we are now in a back and forth with the Brown Mokgotsis of this world, where are we? Where are we going? How do we pick ourselves back up?
What is the conversation that needs to be happening, Kanye, around the role of money, influence peddling, organizational culture in the sense of events that require money, such as your January 8 delivery in the various provinces around the country where travel and accommodation and lifestyle become a factor? Would you say that that's the more pressing conversation for the ANC to reflect upon, as well as, I saw Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi alludes to it without being direct in his testimony that, fair and fine, at a national level, you've got the declarations of who donated what to a political party, but going into the internal democracies of each political party, who funds what campaign? Is time ripe for that kind of a conversation now, especially in the ANC?
I definitely think so, because look, the idea of people donating to the party in itself is not illegal. Time and time again, any political party in any part of the world will tell you that business people, minds, organizations, they do donate. It is the process of transparency that is the problem. As you've alluded, the IEC has the quarterly reports that it releases of party funding, and all party funding over 100,000 rand is routinely declared. And so I think that the ANC needs to adopt a similar type of process